Winning Blueprint presents. It's the Redskins Report. So it's everything Redskins and anything of the sort. That's right, there's nothing here to hide. Skins colors are so bold, man, I wear 'em with pride. So get this Skins Report. Recap of Sunday's game and anything of the sort. Whether it's losses or wins, it's all skins. Come get it. I'm holding down the fort. You know why? 'Cause it's the Redskins Report. Man, can't nobody tell me that, man. I've been watching Redskins football since I was 3. Where were you at on January 12th, 1991? I know where I was at. I was in my room crying because the Redskins just lost to the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round of the playoffs. That's real. I'm serious. That's real. Man, just tune into the show, man. Just tune in. The Redskins Report.
Ah, yes. The smell of victory. Tastes sweet. There's no replacing that feeling you get when you are able to come away with a nice victory on a Sunday afternoon. Welcome. This is the Redskins Report. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. And that was fun. That was fun. That's the way Sundays are supposed to be if you're a football fan. More importantly, if you're a Redskins fan. That was absolutely joyous to watch. That's why we signed up for this, man. That's why we signed up to be Redskins fans. Sundays like this. 38 points put up on the board. You get a W. Points scored in different fashions. Defense gets a defensive touchdown. Offense is scoring on big plays, driving the ball down the field. It could have played better defense, but look, I'm not going to cry over spilt milk. We'll get into what I thought about the defensive performance on Sunday, but we're going to break this thing down quarter by quarter, give you the in-depth analysis that you came here looking for when you came and tuned into the Redskins Report. And so, without any further ado, let's get into the matchup that saw the 4-1 Vikings travel to FedEx Field to take on the 2-3 Washington Redskins on Sunday afternoon on Week 6 of the NFL 2012 season. The first thing that I noticed, and for the third consecutive week, he's making this a habit, and I'm loving this habit. I think this is a phenomenal adoption by Mike Shanahan. He's ahead of the trend. A lot of coaches are still going with that old notion of accepting the opening kickoff and taking the ball first. I'm seeing a lot of teams start to go to this, but still, there's a lot of coaches out there that are still holding steadfast to that old notion that we want to set the tempo and we want to come out and score first. Forget all of that. Buck that trend. Mike Shanahan seems to be ahead of that trend. He seems to be thinking. He's using his noggin, and I like that. Take the ball after halftime. It makes more sense to defer till after the second half because, again, especially when you're home, to me it doesn't matter home or away, but it makes even more sense when you're home to definitely kick the ball off first because your crowd is amped. They can't wait for kickoff. They've been waiting all day for the game to get underway, and there's energy. The crowd is pumped. They're amped. They're ready to go. And the defense feeds off of that. Why put your offense out there, allow them to have to get the crowd to quiet down and, kind of take them out of it. Use that energy that the crowd is providing. Allow that defense to feed off of it and use that adrenaline that they have flowing early in the football game. Hopefully it works to your advantage. But again, I could go into this rant about how this is the best option. I've done this before. If you've been tuning in, you've seen me go into a mini rant about how this is the best option. I'm not going to do that today. Good decision by Shanahan again. If he continues to win these tosses and does this, I'll be pleased with it all year long. I can't state enough how much of a psychological boost it is knowing you get the ball after halftime. I don't see why more coaches won't employ this. Moving on. The first thing that I noted after talking about us deferring. The toss was, we're not a good tackling team. I know I say this every week, and you might get tired of me saying this, but I think it bears mentioning. We don't tackle well enough. It sickens me because watching the game early on, okay, I'll give you an example. Watching the game early on, you couldn't tell the difference between the Vikings on defense while they were 4-1 and us on defense while we were 2-3. Our first play from scrimmage, Alfred Morris gets a carry. That's a cornerback. That's a cornerback knifing in there for a 4-yard loss. Yes, that's Antoine Winfield. That's not a safety, not a linebacker. That's a cornerback. Knifing in the backfield, stonewalling our rookie running back, Alfred Morris, who does not go down on first contact. Well, he went down on first contact on that hit. Second play of the game. First contact, Alfred Morris goes down. That's what happens when you're a good tackling football team. You catch a 3-yard pass, it's a 3-yard gain. It's not 7, not 9, not 11, 3. You catch a 7-yard pass on 3rd and 9, 7-yard gain, you have to punt, 4th and 2. Not a 9-yard gain, first down, not a 11-yard gain, first down, 7. That's the difference between elite defenses, average defenses, and bad defenses. We got to step our game up when it comes to tackling. We don't tackle well. If you need to gang tackle, do that. We don't attack the football, though. We don't attack the ball carrier. What we do is we sit on our heels. We stop, we plant, we break down, which is good. You want to break down, go after them now. You've come under control. Now that you're controlled, be aggressive. It's called controlled aggression for a reason. Come under control, which you do. Now be aggressive. You guys just come under control, and then you let them take the fight to you. When you do that, they're going to pick up yardage. Go get them, and go after the legs. When you watch the upper body, I give you one of these, you freeze. Why are you looking up top? They can't go anywhere without their legs. Go shoot the cuffs. I keep telling you that. Go after the legs. You take the legs out, the body will go down. I promise you. I guarantee it. We started off this game slow on defense, which is not new for us. That's what we do. We don't stop teams on the defensive side of the ball very often. We're not a very good defensive football team. But I was very proud of the way the guys held up in the red zone. This game could have easily gotten out of hand. We let Adrian Peterson bust off a 32-yard run on their first possession. Looked like it was going to be a long day for that defense. I already said we don't have a run defense problem. I don't worry about our rush defense. I never go into a game worried about the other team's running back, worried about the other team's rushing attack. That's not something that worries me when thinking about our defense. We have a lot of deficiencies on our defensive side of the football. Running backs and stopping the run isn't one of them. There's not one running back in the league that scares me, not one rushing attack that scares me. I'm not scared of anyone's running game because I feel like our guys up front are as good as anybody in stopping the run. I feel like we stop the run. We're not as stout as, say, a 49ers, and they got ran on. The Giants ran on them on Sunday. I feel like we have the Giants coming up. I don't expect Ahmad Bradshaw to sniff 100 yards against us. That's just how I feel. I feel confident that we're going to make Eli Manning beat us. And that's the same way I felt about the Vikings coming into this game. I wasn't afraid of Adrian Peterson. He's dangerous. I know what he can do on a football field. I know if we let him out in space, there's not one member of our defense that can catch him from behind. So we need to make sure we do a good job of corralling him. And on that 32-yard run, we did a poor job of tackling. And that's what made me note down and jot down the fact that we're not a good tackling team. We had him dead to right in the hole. Instead of us wrapping up, we gave him a couple shoulders. He bounced off, gets to the outside, goes up the sideline, gets 32 yards. Have to be a better tackling football team. But again, after that 32-yard run, I said we're going to bottle him up. I'm not afraid of anyone's rushing attack. We stopped the run. Our problem is we don't get pressure on the quarterback. Hence, we don't stop teams from passing the football on us. And the one thing I said about this Vikings team is that they're winning football games because they're playing solid defense They're not beating themselves. They're not turning the football over. They're not making mistakes. They're playing sound football, and they're beating you on 2 of the 3 aspects of the game, whether it's special teams and defense, special teams and offense, offense and special teams. They're beating you at 2 of the 3 facets of the game. And if you win 2 out of the 3, most times than not, you're going to win the football game, especially if you're winning the turnover battle in addition to winning 2 out of the 3 aspects of the game. And that's what they've been doing this season, and that's why they've been winning football games. And so I knew coming into this game what we needed to do: limit the Russian attack, make Christian Ponder beat us because I didn't think he could. And then what we needed to do was win special teams. Win special teams, win offense, because we're better offense than them. There's not many teams better than us in offense when we play our game. When we give the opposing defense everything that we got in our playbook, not many teams are going to be able to hold us down. It's so refreshing to be able to say that. How long has it been since we've been able to say, when we put our offense on the field, you know what's coming or you don't, try and stop it. Either way, whether you know what's coming or you don't, try and stop it. Good luck. That feels good, doesn't it? To know that you got an offense that's hard to stop, that you have to actually game plan for. What do? Feels good. Bask in it, Redskins fans. Enjoy it. We earned this. A lot of pain and suffering to get to this point. We earned this. Bask in it. Enjoy it. So, proud of the guys in the red zone, because this game could have gotten out of hand early on in the first quarter. We did not do anything on the offensive end. The Vikings were driving the ball down our throats, getting into the red zone, and they had some questionable calls in the red zone that helped us out on the defensive end. But I don't care anything about that. That's their problem, not ours. We took care of business. What they called on the field, what they went out and tried to execute, we did a better job of out-executing them and getting stops in the red zone, forcing them to kick field goals. I was proud of the fact that we stepped up when we needed to get a stop. And that's what I'm talking about, being a bend but don't break defense. It's okay to bend all the way down the field. But when they get in the red zone, when it's time to stiffen up, that's when we stepped up and we were at our best in this game. And I thought early on, had they scored just 1 touchdown in the red zone, just 1, and they went up 13-0, we would have been in some trouble. But we stiffened, we hardened, and we were able to force them to kick 3 field goals. So proud of the effort. And the guys were actually tackling in the red zone. That's when we were tackling at our best, in the red zone. And you know what? I also need to give a kudos to the young fella, Keenan Robinson. I saw you in the game, in the red zone. Couple of critical stops. That screen that they threw to Adrian Peterson, you don't tackle him. I'm not sure that's not a touchdown. Great open field tackle by Keenan Robinson. Way to filter through that garbage. They tried to block you. You were able to get around several block attempts, get down, dive, and get at Adrian Peterson's ankles and get him down to the ground. That was a huge tackle. And you had several tackles in the red zone in this football game. Keenan Robinson, I see you. They're giving you a little bit more playing time, and you're making the most of it. Good to see you out on the field producing when you get an opportunity. Take full advantage of these opportunities that you get. You never know when your number is going to be called. Good to see you out on the field producing when they give you the opportunity to do so. Also, our screen gaming is horrendous. And I spoke to this a week ago. I said that I wanted to see more screens from our offense because screens are easy yards. It slows down any pass rush that the other team would try to employ against you. You know, because you got to be aware of what's going on. If a lineman lets you go with a free rush, you know something's up. It slows you down. But we don't screen well. I don't know if it's our linemen aren't athletic enough to get out. And then I looked at the screen. We ran a screen to Evan Royster early in this football game. We got in a 3rd and long situation. And I saw what the problem was on that screen. That screen was nobody blocked. We had 4 linemen out there, and nobody put a hat on anybody. And so when you get guys out there in front of you, and you're assuming that they're going to block someone and they don't, it's hard for you to pick up any yardage. That's part of the reason we're not a good screen team. I think a lot of it has to do with that our linemen don't get out there, aren't really that athletic, don't get out there and put a hat on someone. I think another reason is we're not patient enough as a screen team. I think our backs like to catch it and go straight up the field. You got to set your blocks up. You got to help these linemen out. They're already not the most agile out in space, and so you need to help them set up some of these blocks. And I think it's a combination of the two of those things. Not having the most athletic lineman to get out there and get a guy down on the ground, pancake him, and get someone out of the way, clear a path for the back or whoever's catching the screen. And then I think it's a lack of patience on the part of the back or whoever's catching the screen. Nonetheless, we're not a good screen team. Was very disappointed that screen didn't pop for a first down. We had to punt. Also looked at the Vikings were real sharp early on in this football game. I was impressed with the amount of poise, of course, that Christian Ponder showed. We tried to come after him a few times to see if we could get him in. He didn't do anything special, but again, he made the throws that were there. If we blitzed, he took a simple check down. It could have been a simple drag route across, the middle of the field. He took what was there, and those guys did the rest because, again, we're not a great tackling team. And so, you dump it off 4 yards on a shallow cross, you probably get 8 on the play because that first guy's not going to make the tackle. And they took full advantage of that early in the game. I thought they did a good job of trying to get Percy Harvin involved early on. Adrian Peterson was a thorn in our side early in the football game. They went down the field to Kyle Rudolph. I was afraid of that matchup early on in the football game, and I said that in the preview of this game that he's an athletic, rangy tight end. We have trouble with athletic, rangy tight ends. We struggled in the first game of the season, which a lot of teams do with Jimmy Graham. We struggled with Jermaine Gresham when we played the Bengals. We struggled with Tony Gonzalez when we played the Falcons. And so I was afraid of Kyle Rudolph, and for good reason. He's a big, athletic tight end that has monstrous hands that swallows up the football. And he got open early in the game, caught a nice little corner route on us. We were in zone coverage. Josh Wilson probably should have faded back some more into that zone. He didn't. He got open. They caught it. He caught the pass, and they were in our territory. But again, we were able to keep them to a field goal. That was a sloppy first half for us in terms of offense. We did absolutely nothing. Looked a lot like the offense we ran last week against the Atlanta Falcons in the first quarter. Not a lot of variety there. A lot of vanilla look. It looked a lot like the preseason offense where we just didn't want to really show our hand. And again, I don't know if that was a product of us trying to outsmart our opponents again. Teams are going to prepare for us to be in the spread and to be in the pistol. And I thought, again, we were having another one of those feeble attempts at trying to outsmart our opponents. They're going to be prepared to stop, our spread look, our read option, our pistol. How about we just go conventional and see if they're ready to stop that? Well, every team in the league is prepared to stop conventional offense. That's what they go up against 97% of the time. The only other times they go up against something non-conventional is when you play the Panthers or you play the Redskins for the most part. Maybe the Eagles, but they run a pretty conventional style offense. You just got to prepare for Michael Vick. But the Panthers and the Redskins are really the only two teams in the league that employ this, unconventional style of offense. And so, for the most part, if you come out in something conventional, even though they've been preparing for unconventional all week, they can adjust on the fly. It's not hard. That's what they practice just about every week of the season. So I don't know what the reasoning and the justification was there for us just trying to come out and be, I guess, and again, you can't forget that Robert Griffin III had a concussion a week ago. And so then they were just trying to ease him into the game to start out. See if they could get away with just running conventional offense, not put him in harm's way if they didn't have to. And this is what I said last week. If you couldn't run the full offense with Robert Griffin III on the field, don't play him. Don't put him on the field if you don't feel comfortable giving the Vikings everything, including the kitchen sink. If you couldn't throw the full playbook at them, don't play him in this game. Put Kirk Cousins in. That's how I felt. And so I knew they were going to, at some point, give the Vikings all that they could handle and then some, because he was in the game. If you put him in, that means you feel comfortable with calling every single play in your playbook. And so I was disappointed in the first quarter because we came out, we're stagnant on offense, tried to run the conventional stuff that didn't work a week ago, and we got the same results that we got a week ago, which was a lot of nothing. A lot of 3 and outs, a lot of 1 first down, maybe 2, and then you got to punt. And it put our defense in a precarious situation. And again, our defense is not the best in the world, and so you can't continuously put them out on the field and expect them to continue to get stops. At some point, they're going to give up 7. And so we were really, really skating on thin ice in that first quarter. Luckily enough for us, the defense were able to, get stops in the red zone and force them to kick field goals. Third down was a problem for us in that first quarter. It was a big, big problem. We could not seem to stop the Vikings on third downs. And that was a lot of reasons why they were in the red zone 3 times in the first quarter. We couldn't get stops on third down. And it didn't matter if it was 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, or 3rd and 9. They were converting on third downs, and that's something that we have to find a way to rectify moving forward in this season if we want to become a better team on defense. One of the biggest stats you can look at for a defense is third down percentage. Do you get off the field on third downs? One of the biggest reasons why we were a solid defense a year ago is because we found a way to get off the field on third downs for the most part. We had a couple of games where we struggled last year not getting off the field on third downs. But as a whole, we got off the field generally on third down. We did a pretty good job of that. This year, not the case. When we get on third downs, for some reason, there's a breakdown on our defense. Guys aren't communicating. We're not a good tackling team. So if we give up, a 4-yard pass on 3rd and 5, chances are we're going to give up a first down because we're not a team that stonewalls you when you catch the football. There's yards to be had after the catch when you catch the football against this Redskins football team. And so that's very disappointing, but you already know what to expect. Don't be surprised when it's 3rd and 6. We give up a 4-yard pass and they get 4 yards after the catch and get a first down. That shouldn't surprise you at this point in the season. It's happened all too often, so you should know that's something that we give up. But again, it doesn't make it any easier to take. It doesn't make it easier to swallow the fact that we can't get off the field on third downs. And that's what hurt us a lot early on in this football game, and that's what allowed the Vikings to get 9 points on the board. It's because we couldn't get off the field on third downs. Numerous third downs on those first 3 possessions for the Vikings. They probably were a good 7 for 10, maybe 6 of 9 on those first 3 drives on third down. I mean, they encountered a lot of third downs. It's not like they were just getting chunks on first and second downs. We were holding them for the most part on first and second down, and then they were just converting on third down. And so that was very disappointing early on in this football game. I thought the pick that Robert Griffin III threw, he was just pressing. Again, trying to make a play. That was a great pick. Excellent pick by the corner, Antoine Winfield. And that was a veteran play. Very savvy on his part, getting both feet down, plucking the football out of the air. That was not a softly tossed football. That was a bullet that Robert Griffin III tried to zoom in to Santana Moss. And he plucked it out of the air. He got his feet down. That was a heady play by Antoine Winfield. Set the Vikings up in prime field position. Again, the defense had to come on the field and make a play, and they got to stop. And again, tip my hat to the defense early in the football game, because without them making some critical stops in the red zone, this game could have got out of hand, and this could have been another loss at home at FedEx Field for the Washington Redskins. So as we move on to the second quarter, the first thing that I noted was I like when Mike Shanahan is aggressive. I hate when we get in 4th and short, and either we're in no man's land, which is too far for a field goal, too close to punt, or he's just not being aggressive and he decides to punt the football away on a 4th and inches or a 4th and 1, when I know it's not too many teams that can stop us from picking up short yardage. I feel like we're so dynamic on offense. There's so many weapons. Whether it's DY, it's Alfred Morris, it's Robert Griffin III. We just have so many weapons to pick up first downs. I don't like giving defenses the satisfaction of knowing if it's 4th and inches, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, that we're just going to punt the football. Make them work for it, especially if we're in no man's land, which we were in this game, and Mike Shanahan decided to roll the dice and go for it. And at that time, we needed a shot in the arm. We were down 9-0, and slightly out of field goal range. Too close to punt, though. And at this point, we needed to get some points on the board. It didn't matter if it was 7 or 3. Just get on the board and show some life. Show the defense that we're not going to leave you out on the island. And get some momentum going in this football game. Get the crowd involved. And maybe we can start to turn things around in the football game. And so him going for it on 4th down, I thought was a great call. It was gutsy because if we don't make that, we could be in some trouble because the Vikings had not to this point been stopped on offense. But again, you can't be afraid. Scared money doesn't make any money. Scared money don't make money. That's what we say. Scared money don't make money. You can't be afraid to risk it to reap some benefits. And there, I thought the risk there did not outweigh the reward. The reward there was greater than the risk to me. I thought we needed to go for that. Executed it well. We ran the waggle play. It's something that usually is reserved for the red zone with Santana Moss in the end zone. But we ran the waggle, and we ran it to the opposite side. Normally, we like to roll Robert Griffin III. Normally, we like to roll him out to the right side, to the strong side, because he's a right-handed quarterback. It's an easier throw for him on the move to the right side. We ran it to the short side. I hate running plays to the short side of the field. I don't understand the logic there. There's less space, easier for defenses to cover it because there's not as much space. It's a condensed area. I hate running plays to the short side of the field. But we got away with it. Ran it to the left, and I think that's why they did it, because every time we've run the waggle thus far, whether it was in preseason or against the Bengals, it was to the right side, to the wide side of the field. So it was a different look. It was a change-up, maybe something that the defense wasn't ready for. Santana Moss got open. Robert made a great throw. We pick up the first down, move the sticks. I like the call. I like the aggressive nature of the play, and I like that fact that we were being aggressive, looking to score points. We needed that at that time in the game. Great execution. Everybody did their job well. Offensive line, Robert Griffin III, Santana Moss, flawless execution, got the first down. Okay, so we're moving the football, but as always, when we're getting something going and we get stopped, as always, it's usually not on our, just because the other team has good defensive plays against us. It's our own doing. It's on our own volition, and we stopped ourselves again. Niles Paul with a senseless holding penalty. And at this point, I was really starting to become perturbed with Niles Paul because I had ideas of grandeur for Niles Paul this year. He was going to be our X factor, someone that you couldn't contain in the passing game. He was going to be, so many different things in our offense. He was going to be an H-back. He was going to be in the backfield. He was going to be at tight end. He was going to get split out wide as a receiver and get mismatches. He was going to be covered out wide by a linebacker or a safety. That's a mismatch. He was going to be in the backfield, lined up, linebacker, one-on-one. Fake a handoff to Alfred Morris. Let him leak out of the backfield with that speed, run by the defender, get him the ball out of space, let him make things happen. He's not catching the football, though. He's not making plays, and so I'm becoming annoyed with Niles Paul. And then you want to hold on offense and stunt our drive, force us to have to kick a long field goal on a drive that was promising, that was looking like we were going to try to go and get 7 points on the scoreboard. Very disappointing. Again, I'm becoming to get to the point where I'm annoyed with him. But when he makes the plays that, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. I'll save that for later. So he gets a holding penalty. Basically brings that drive to a grinding halt. And so we have to settle for a long field goal. This is our first look at our new field goal kicker, Kai Forbath. And I said, hey, if you want to make a statement, you want to grab this job by the horns, here's your chance to do it. It's a 50-yard kick, something that us fans in Redskins Nation have not been able to say was a really realistic makeable field goal for our kickers over the years. Graham Gano had the leg, but a lot of times his accuracy from that far away was not what we would have liked. That was never an option with Billy Cundiff. And so we were hoping that this was going to be the start of something beautiful. It was going to put to rest all our kicker ills, at least for the meantime. Because we don't know, he could miss his next 5 kicks. We don't know what the situation is. But we just wanted to get it off on the right foot. And so he comes in the game and everybody is holding their collective breaths because, again, this is a big moment in the football game. We're down 9-0. We have no momentum to this point. If he misses this kick, not only are we still down 9-0, sucks all the air out of FedEx Field, but the Vikings are going to get prime field position to try to go score some more points. And again, to this point, as I just stated, on going on forward on 4th down, we haven't stopped the Vikings to this point yet. They've marched down the field, albeit field goals were the result of all these drives. We haven't stopped the Vikings from getting points yet. So giving them prime field position was not the thing that we wanted to do right now. And so this kick was big for many different reasons. And he calmly steps up to the plate, drills it. In terms of distance, it was a no-doubter. I just was wondering, was the accuracy going to be there? And it was right down the middle. And that is a great start to his career as the field goal kicker of the Washington Redskins. I definitely congratulate Kai Forbath for landing in the league because he was on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. I don't know if you remember, but our last preseason game was against the Bucs. He was the kicker on their roster. I saw him kick. Didn't really pay much attention to him because at that time, I felt like our kicking situation was, I guess, going to stay the same. Who saw Graham Gano getting cut and them bringing in Billy Cundiff at that time? And so I really didn't pay any attention. But he was on that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team in that last preseason game. And so I knew he had a strong leg. But it was good to see him knock that through. Gave us the confidence that if we need to put him on the field, he can make kicks. Also put us on the scoreboard. That was big. Gave us a little bit of momentum. Crowd is now in the game. Now the Vikings feel a little bit of the pressure for the first time in this game. Every possession that they have had, no pressure on them. They're scoring. We're not doing anything. And so they're feeling like we can just go out and play loose. Now they started to get a little tight now. Because now we're on the board and they know we can rev it up. We can score points. So now we're on the board. Now they're starting to feel a little bit of the pressure. He compounds that field goal make by kicking it into the corner and not allowing Percy Harvin to get a return off. And so now they start at the 20. Defense goes out, has a stellar defensive possession, culminating in a stop, which makes the Vikings have to punt the football. And then our offense gets the ball, and look, they pinned us. Their kicker kicked the cover off the football. And so we started this drive at our own 10-yard line. But we put together a masterful drive, and we finally unleashed the offense. We took the cover, took the wrapping off of the offense, and we just gave it to them, full blown. Full bore, pedal to the metal, gave them the offense. Triple option, pistol, spread, read option, you name it, they got it on their second possession. It was a thing of beauty. We saw, one of those extra wrinkles. Every week, we changed the game plan up, it seems. We haven't had consecutive weeks of the same game plan. 1 week you get the triple option look with Banks. You might not see it for 2 more weeks. Then it's back. The next week you might not see the pistol at all. Then you see it the next week exclusively. And so I love the fact that we change things up. You don't see the same game plan from week to week. But they got everything. They got every single look that we've done this season. And then they added in the extra wrinkle with the fake read option, pull it out, quick toss to Fred Davis. That's something that we've done, sparingly in the past. We've done it a couple times against Tampa Bay, but not to the extent that we did it in this game against the Vikings. And it wasn't as effective as it was in this game against the Vikings. Fred Davis was getting chunks off of that pass. And again, what that does is it sets up different things later on in the football game. Instead of them just reacting to the run on that, now they have to stay back for the pass. that gives Alfred Morris a chance if he decides to let it go. It gives him a chance to get 5 or 6 yards before the defense can react. These things, everything that you do on a football field is setting up something else later on in the football game, whether you know it or not. And so these plays were all executed beautifully, and we just put together just a masterful drive. 90 yards, about 12 or 13 plays, down the field, triple option, read option, pistol, you name it, we did it. Alfred Morris started to get going in the running game after being just stuffed early on in the football game. Not his best showing, but again, he got the tough yards, did not fumble the football for the 6th consecutive game. I can't state that enough, how important it is for this young rookie to hold on to the football. On that first play of the game, I don't know if you noticed, but he got hit so hard, and immediately when he got the football, he got hit so hard by Antoine Winfield. He almost fumbled that football. I don't know if you noticed on the replay, that ball got jarred loose. It went from here to back here under his armpit. I don't know how he hung on to it, but he was able to not fumble the football on that hit and for this entire game. Again, kudos to Alfred Morris for protecting the football. He runs so hard and so violently at times after he breaks a tackle. You got guys coming recklessly from behind looking to strip him, looking to hit him hard. And it's a wonder that he hasn't fumbled thus far, and I'm glad, and knock on wood, that he has not fumbled, and I want to see him continue to be, that beast that he has been for us on the ground. And he was getting tough yards against this Minnesota Vikings defense because this defense plays sound in their principles, and they tackle well. I can't state that enough. This is a very good tackling Minnesota Vikings team. That's why they're ranked 7th in the league in defense, because they tackle well. That's the difference between them and us. They tackle well, we don't. They're ranked 7th in the league. We're ranked 24th in the league in defense. Because we don't tackle, they do. So that was good to see him starting to get going in the running game, take a little bit of pressure off of Robert Griffin III. We moved the ball down the field. That drive was heavy on Santana Moss. I'm glad to see them utilizing Santana Moss. I think he's an asset for us in the slot. And there's not many teams that are going to be able to cover Santana Moss in the slot. He's very shifty. He can still run. He's still a 4-4 guy. Okay, he's not a 4-3 guy anymore, but he's a 4-4 speed guy. Most people can't keep up with him in the slot. He's very shifty. Get him the football more. Let's utilize Santana Moss. He's an asset. Utilize him. I thought they did a beautiful job of using him in the slot in this football game, using that mismatch against whoever was covering him, whether it was zone, whether it's man coverage. They can't cover Santana Moss, and we were getting him the football. I also liked how we used Leonard Hankerson on that drive. I think we need to use Leonard Hankerson over the middle of the field some more. This going to Leonard Hankerson on deep passes, we did it again in the first quarter on a failed attempt to go deep. Why? Leonard Hankerson is not a big play threat in my eyes. Yes, he had that one catch against St. Louis, got behind the defense, almost dropped the football, and yes, he was able to corral it, bring it home, and score a touchdown. But that's not who Leonard Hankerson is. He's not a guy that's going to burn you vertically with his speed. He's a lumbering runner, too. He's not a guy that's going to be well coordinated and time his jump. He's 6'2", but he's not going to use that height and length to go high point the football. That's not in his DNA. You go back and watch the film of him at the University of Miami. That's not his game. His game is working the middle of the field, running deep post, and, using his body, his frame to shield defenders away from the football, not necessarily going up and making a play, but just getting in front of them, a la Tony Gonzalez last week, posting up Josh Wilson, just using his frame to get in front of defenders and shielding them away from the football and going up and coming down with the football. And I think that's more of what he is, and that's why I want to use him over the middle of the field. They threw a nice dig route to him over the middle of the field. He was able to use his body. This is why I like his frame and why I think we need to use him in the intermediate routes to go up and high point the football, come down with it. He's more likely to catch the football in that instance than 60 yards down the field trying to high point it. That's not his strength. He doesn't gather himself well, go up, leap, and make a catch and make a play. We just need to stop doing it. If you're going to go down the field, use Aldrick Robinson. Use Santana Moss, use Brandon Banks. Even try Josh Morgan down the field. But I don't really like Leonard Hankerson going deep down the field. I really think that is something that we do in vain. But all in all, that was an excellent drive. Santana Moss, Hankerson, Banks, everything. We pulled it all out, got down the field. And look, when we get in the red zone, we're a tough team to stop because you have to stop the pass, but you got to stop the run with Alfred Morris. And if you're not careful, you get the quarterback draw. Well, of those options, we decided to pound it home with Alfred Morris. 1-yard touchdown run on 3rd and goal. And it was good to see him get into the end zone. Good to see us line up. And we basically ran it 3 times in a row. And it was good to see us say, look, stop it. Stop us. We're lining up, power, football, and we're coming straight at you. Stop us. And they couldn't do it. That was really, really gratifying to be able to just line up, mine's against yours, who's better? And we won. So we scored a touchdown there, take our first lead of the game, 10-9. And again, now all the momentum is in our favor. Everything's going our way now. After struggling in the first quarter mightily, we're ahead for the first time in the game. Crowd is into it. You start to see wheels turning in the direction of us starting to get it. Now the defense is getting stops on the defensive side of the football. And so now we're starting to work in unison. We kick it off and we go back out on the field. And I saw that they were starting to play Lorenzo Alexander. That one-man gang was getting on the field. And I'm like, okay, I like that. Because initially, when we first put Lorenzo Alexander about 2-3 years ago outside linebacker, I'm like, I'm not really feeling him out there. He's very athletic, and I'll give him credit for that. But I feel like he'd be better served in the middle because he's a bigger guy. He's a guy with some girth to him, or at least he was. And they've had this man play so many positions that his body has went through so many different changes. It's amazing. And so when he was playing outside linebacker, the guy was like 270 pounds. I'm like, you need to put him inside. He can tackle. He's very sound in his form and technique. Put him inside. I'd really like to see him play alongside London Fletcher in the middle. This was before we got Perry Riley. And I'm like, give him a shot inside. But no, we used to put him outside. He wasn't really fit for the job at that time. Again, he wasn't in shape. So, we moved him inside finally when he's cut down weight now. And so he's a different guy. But now I think his weight and his body type is suited for outside linebacker now. And so when they put him in, I said, that's interesting. I really like that. And he started generating pressure. And when you know it, as soon as he gets in the game, Kerrigan is being his normal nuisance self, which is always good for us. He bull rushes Adrian Peterson back into Christian Pond. The ball goes in the air. And you never want to leave judgment calls in the hands of the officials, because had that ball hit the ground, now we have to go to the review booth because they're going to see if it's a fumble, was his arm going forward, yada, yada, yada. No need. Catch the football, which is what one-man gang did. Ran it down deep into Vikings territory, down to about the 9 or 11-yard line, put us in prime field position to score a touchdown. And I like that. I like the fact that we're generating turnovers this year. I told you last week, one thing about our defense now that I couldn't say about it in the past. We may be giving up yards. We may be giving up points sometimes. But we're getting turnovers. Give me turnovers. The other team can have yards. They can go from 20 to 20 all they want. If we're able to stop them in the red zone, force them to kick field goals, I don't care what you do. Amass 600 yards if you like. As long as you're kicking field goals and as long as the defense is getting turnovers. And we're getting turnovers on defense this year. We're getting turnovers. And not only are we getting turnovers, but for the first time ever, we're getting points off of turnovers. We're only 6 weeks into the season. We already have 4 defensive touchdowns on the season. That's unheard of. I want you to go back and look at some stats. I venture to say, and you can't quote me on this, I'm just going off the top of my head. But I venture to say that in the last 3 seasons, we might have 4 total. Combined, last 3 seasons, we might have 4 touchdowns on defense combined total. I'm talking about I'm talking about 48 games worth of production. We might have 4 turnovers for touchdowns forced by the defense. We already have that total in 6 games this season. Do you know what that means? Now, what I found to be a very discouraging stat, however, was we were 0-3 coming into this game on games where we forced a turnover and scored a touchdown off of it. That's not good. That's not good at all. What that's saying to me is that we're forcing turnovers, getting scores, but we're giving up points. We're giving up points on defense. Even though we're getting them, we're giving them up. And I was thinking to myself, hey, didn't we score a touchdown against the Saints? We won that game? No. Dijon Gomes got stopped about the 1-yard line, and we scored on the next play. So, yeah, we were 0-3. We scored against the Rams on Josh Wilson's fumble, lost that game. Scored against the Falcons, lost that football game on, of course, Kerrigan had that wonderful play where he batted it to himself and scored. And then we scored against the Bengals, where Rob Jackson caught that 0-yard interception for a touchdown, which you never hear. And we lost that game, so that was crazy. That stat was eye-opening, but way to buck that trend as well. Way to get that stat out of there. Get a win, getting a defensive touchdown scored. But that was a great play for us because it set us up. Again, momentum was already in our favor. And we were scoring. We were in sync on offense at that point. And so I love the fact that on the first play, we went for the dagger. We went for the juggler at the 9-yard line. Play action fake. Get the ball to DY. I love when we get the ball in DY's hands. I feel like he's someone that when it's in his hands, he can make things happen. He's a battering ram. First guy usually doesn't bring him down. He's agile for his size. So if you want to try and cut him, he'll jump over you. You want to come with a shoulder tackle, he'll bounce off of you, spin off of you. I love when we get the ball in his hands. Got him out in the flats, free release, got him the ball. Perfect throw by Robert Griffin III. He gets in the end zone. Touchdown. All of a sudden, we go from a 9-0 deficit to a 17-9 lead in our favor. And just like that, blink of an eye, we scored 2 touchdowns in probably a span of a minute and 15 seconds. And just like that, we're up by 8 in this football game after trailing 9-0 in the first quarter. And so that just shows you how explosive we can be as a football team when we're playing both offense and defense together in unison. So I was very happy and pleased to see us get a turnover and then score a touchdown. Not 3, not settle for a field goal, not get to 3rd and goal from the 9 or 7. First play, go get a touchdown. Be aggressive. And that's what we did. I was pleased with that, and that took us to halftime. So we were up 17-9 at the half, and after struggling in the first quarter to come out and play so well in the second quarter, be so aggressive, and really take it to the Vikings in the second quarter as a team, not just on the offensive end, but as a team, forcing a turnover that led to a touchdown. Felt good about us at halftime. I really felt good about the direction the game was going, and this is what I'm talking about. Not only are we up 9-17 at the half, guess who gets the ball first in the second half with a chance to pad that lead? Because you deferred to the second half. Guess who gets the football first in the second half with a chance to pad that lead? Yeah, you guessed it. The Redskins do. We get the football because we made the smart decision. We made the logical decision, the right decision to defer to the second half. Because whether you're up or you're down, it always makes sense to get the ball after half because you never know how the first half is going to go. You never know if you're going to be down 17-3 going into halftime and you need something. You need a spark. You come out in the second half and score a touchdown, cut it to 17-10. Now you're back in the football game. You go up, like as we did, 9-17 in the first half, and you come out and you score a touchdown on that first possession after halftime. Now your lead has been extended to 15 points at 24-9. How can you not like that? How is that not a great idea? Works. It works. Every time it works. I love it. So we proceed to get the ball first in the second half. And we come out and we pick right up where we left off at in the second quarter. We go right at them. We run the football. And again, after starting the game slow, we're giving them different looks now, and they don't know what to expect. Now Alfred Morris is starting to get loose in the running game. And yeah, he's not picking up big chunks. He did get a 15-yard gain in the second quarter, but he's not gashing them, but they're not getting in the backfield, stopping him for a 4-yard loss anymore. Now those are 4-yard gains. And that's all you want to do is stay ahead of down and distance. Give yourself a chance to be in third and short. And that's what we did. Picked it up, kept the sticks moving. Then we started to go and get chunks. Josh Morgan over the middle of the field. And the beauty of this offense that we have with Robert Griffin III and the threat of him running the football is that we can overcome penalties now. When we had Rex Grossman at quarterback, if we got a holding penalty, that drive was doomed. Second and 20, we're not picking up 20 yards in 2 plays. Who are we, the New England Patriots? No way. Now we get a false start penalty on second down, on first down. It's 1st and 15. Who cares? You don't want to get penalties. You don't want to commit penalties. You don't want to be an undisciplined team. You don't want to make drives harder than they have to be. But we can pick up 15 yards in our sleep now. We get to 3rd and 11, and Robert Griffin III runs the football, uses his legs to extend the play and make things happen. And that's what happened on this drive. We got in 3rd and long. Trent Williams had a false start penalty. It didn't matter. We picked up the first down. That's what we do. We extend drives because we have a playmaker in Robert Griffin III that can extend drives, extend plays, make things happen, pick up first downs. And we got a freebie on this drive. We got 2 freebies on this drive. The first was we got away with a false start on about the first or second play of this half in this drive. It was false start. We moved early. I want to say it was the running back, matter of fact. Might have been Darrell Young or Alfred Morris. It was Alfred Morris. He moved. No doubt about it. He moved early. They didn't see it. Vikings were pointing, and they were right. We got away with one there. And then we get later in the drive. Robert Griffin III runs, scrambles, tries to get to the sideline, gets horse-collared by Harrison Smith, the Vikings rookie safety out of Notre Dame. And on the play, they tack on, there's a holding penalty on the play. So in addition to his 15-yard penalty, there's a holding penalty on the Vikings in the secondary. And they tack on 5 yards in addition to our penalty yards. They weren't supposed to do that. You can't accept a holding penalty. Either you take the play as it stands or you take the penalty. You can't take both. You don't get the play and the 5 yards at the end of it. But again, you're not going to hear me complaining and giving back free yards. I'll take anything you want to give me. So we got that. And this drive here, 11 plays, 80 yards, culminating in a Robert Griffin III quarterback draw. I told you in the first half that that's an option when we get in the red zone. We're a scary team because you can get it from Alfred Morris, you can get it from the right arm of Robert Griffin III, or you can get it from his legs. You don't know what's coming. And they got the third option this time. They got it from Robert Griffin III's legs. Quarterback draw, beautifully ran. He dives, extends, gets over the goal line, touchdown. And this drive was aided by his legs. This drive was powered by Robert Griffin III and his legs. Time and time again on this drive, the play broke down. He got outside the pocket or got out of contained, got yards up the field and made things happen. 3rd and 11, he gets 15. Another play, he gets horse collared, gets about 7 on that play, tack on 15. First down, we get in the red zone, quarterback draw. That drive, and then we had other plays on that drive as well, but that drive was powered by Robert Griffin III and his legs. So now we take a commanding 24-9 lead in this football game at this point. And at this point, I'm like, let's blow them out. But again, as we all know as Redskins fans, that's not in our DNA. We don't blow teams out. We have to make it as difficult as possible to win the football game. We don't just like to strangle teams and step on their throats and their necks when we have them down. No, we don't rub people's faces in the dirt. We're gentlemen. We like to make it a close, competitive ball game. So, being up 24-9, you knew in the back of your mind that wasn't going to stick. So you knew that was too many points. We were up by too much in this game. So you knew the defense had to give some back. That's just how it goes with us. We were getting up by too much in this game, getting too comfortable. So the defense had to remind us, hey, we're not out of the woods yet. We're going to allow them to drive down. And so the Vikings put together a drive. First, before I even go there, Percy Harvin scared us a little bit, got a nice little return. And that was one of the keys in the game that I spoke to. Limiting Percy Harvin, limiting Adrian Peterson. And when I say limit Percy Harvin, I'm talking about in all facets. Special teams, when they put him at running back, when they put him at receiver, got to find a way to limit this guy's effectiveness. Look, he's going to get his. You're not going to stop him altogether. But limit the explosive plays. Limit the 77-yard touchdown. He's going to get a 27-yard gain. He's explosive. That's what he does. He's going to get a 35-yard kick return. That's what he does. He's really great at what he does. But don't allow him to break that for 75 yards, 85 yards, 105 yards. Don't allow that to happen. Make them earn everything they get. And so, yeah, he bust off a nice little 41-yard return on us, but that was fine. Stopped him at around the 35-yard line or so. Vikings started to put together a drive. Again, as we did all game long, proud of the fellas on the defense for standing up. They get in the red zone, got to around the 19-yard line or so, 20 somewhere in there, and we stiffened up. Didn't allow them to get in the end zone, forced them to kick another field goal. They have a young, good field goal kicker in Blair Walsh, so you knew that was money. Unless we block it, when's the last time the Redskins blocked a field goal? You'd be here thinking all day, don't do that. Just letting you know that we're not blocking it, so it was going to be good. He knocks it home, and just like that, the lead is trimmed back down to 12. So just when we started to think we were safe, they cut into the lead slightly, but nonetheless, now we're only up 12. So we get the football back, and at this point, they haven't stopped us in about 3 or 4 possessions. We're on cruise control on offense right now. I think the last 4 times we touched the ball, 1 field goal, 3 touchdowns. So we're feeling good about ourselves on offense right now. I'm feeling like we can't be stopped. And they don't know what's coming. And even when they do, they can't stop us because we're just more athletic than they are. When's the last time we've been able to say that, too? We're more athletic than you. We're faster than you. We're more physical than you are. What can you do? Feels good. I'm not going to lie to you. Feels good after all these years of watching teams run circles around us because they were just more athletic than us, more, quicker than us, faster than us, stronger than us, better than us. Now it feels good to actually out-athletic someone. We're better athletes on this side of the field. You can't hang with us. And before I move on to our next drive, I just got to make sure I clean something up on the last drive. I can't let you off the hook. Des Briscoe has not dressed for just about any game this season. We finally dressed him because of the injury to Pierre Garçon. He gets in the football game, gets a gift to him. Literally, Robert Griffin III breastfed him the football. He couldn't have ran up and handed it to him any better, and he drops it. Look, you don't get any playing time. You get an opportunity to show what you can do. And a prime one at that. I'm talking about you're wide open. I don't know if you don't score on this play. And you drop the football. You can't come in the game and not make plays, man. You're not getting a lot of opportunities as it is. I went out on a limb for you and said, look, we need to keep this guy. I don't know what you need to do or who you got to get rid of when we were making cuts to the 53-man roster. I don't know who you're going to not keep. But we need to keep Des Briscoe. Find a way to keep this guy on the roster. He can make plays for us. I go out on a limb and say all of that, and that's what you do. That's how you repay me. You got to make plays, man. You got to make plays. You can't drop the football. That could have cost us. Luckily for us, we were in rhythm at that time, and so that drop was just a blip on the radar screen. We were able to overcome that like it never even happened. But I'm not going to let you slide on that. You got to catch the football, man, or you won't be seeing the field. And if you're not seeing the field, we might as well get rid of you because you really don't play special teams either. So if you're not playing a good special teams, you're not contributing on the offensive end, what good are you? Come on, Dez. Come on. So we get the football back. And again, we haven't been stopped on our last 4 possessions. So I'm feeling good about what we're able to do. Only time we get stopped is when we stop ourselves. I've already said that. Once we get going on offense and we start moving the football, it's hard for teams to stop us. The only way we usually get stopped is if we stop ourselves. So we get the football back, touchback, started at 20, and we proceed to drive the football down the field, just as we had done in the second quarter, just as we've done all third quarter. Get to right around midfield or the 45, somewhere in there, and we get a holding penalty. You know, those are killers because that's 10 yards. And again, that's normally something that we can overcome, but it's still tough. You know, you don't want, 5 is one thing. 10, that's hard to overcome. Even if it's on first down and you got 3 downs to pick it up, you're talking 7 yards per play, but still, it's tough to overcome. This time, it was a little bit too much for us to overcome on this drive. We gave it a run. Robert ran with the ball on third down, but Jared Allen was able to push him out of bounds short of the first down. We had to punt. And I told you, Niles Paul is someone that, he rubs me the wrong way because I expected so much more from him this season. And look, he's making a position change, and so, things don't happen as fast as you would expect them or like them to when someone is playing a new position, essentially. He's never been a tight end in his career, never been a tight end probably in his life. So I have to cut him some slack. I'm hard on him because I see the potential. I see what's there. I know he can be a nightmare for defenders. He's a mismatch nightmare for opposing teams. And that's what we should be able to use him as, but he doesn't make plays. He doesn't catch the football cleanly. He doesn't catch it a lot of times at all. And he blocks well. He's very physical, and that's why I want to use him more. He's physical. He's a physical specimen. He's fast for his size. You want to get him the ball, but he's got to be able to catch the football. He's got to be able to make plays. And he hasn't shown me the ability to be able to do that as a tight end yet. But there's no denying, even when he rubs me the wrong way, even when I get perturbed at him on offense, whether he's holding, dropping the football, procedure penalty, whatever the case. There's no denying this man is an asset to us on special teams. He is an absolute monster when it comes to special teams. Remember last year on special teams when he knocked the helmet off of the Rams wide receiver? What's the guy from Boise State? Gosh, Austin Pettis, who he refused to call for fair catch, and now lit him up twice. Got a personal foul, got fined, and the whole 9 yards, and I thought that was bogus, but he lit him up. Niles did it again in this game. First, though, however, he started with a nice downing of a punt. Sav Rocca, I told you, that's a weapon for us. I love Sav Rocca. He's really smooth in what he does. Not always the prettiest, but he gets the job done. And at a time where we finally were stopped because we stopped ourselves, we had to punt. So why not make it worthwhile? If we're going to have to punt, why not pin these guys deep inside their own territory? And that's exactly what Sav did. And then Niles went down and retrieved it at the 4-yard line. Beautiful sliding catch to stop them at the 4-yard line. Make them go 96. They want 7, go 96 to get it. And so that was a beautiful play, beautiful execution on the part of our special teams unit. And again, we needed to win 2 out of the 3 facets of the game. And by all accounts, when you make plays like that, you're winning that aspect of the game. So that brings us to the end of the third quarter and the start of the fourth quarter. And when you start someone deep in their own territory, it makes everyone uncomfortable on that side of the football. When your back is against your own end zone, The head coach is uncomfortable. The offensive coordinator is uncomfortable. The offense is uncomfortable. Everyone's uptight because one mistake could change the ball game. A safety, a penalty in the end zone, a tip ball. Anything could change the game around here. You can't make mistakes. There's no margin for error when you're that close to your end zone. So everyone's uptight. So that's why it's important that you make teams go the length of the field. You pin them deep. That's why special teams is important. So we get a stop down there and down it at the 4. Now they have to go 96 if they want 7. So they start their drive and we get them on 3rd down, and I wanted to get off the field here. We give up a nice crossing route for about 19. Get them out of harm's way, let them off the hook. Now they're out in space, and that was frustrating. Oh, come on, guys. Crowd was into it. Chance to get good field position. You get a stop here. They're punting from their own end zone. We're going to get good field position. Got to get that stop. So I'm moping and grinding and complaining and moaning and groaning. Oh, come on, fellas. You were doing so good. Get a stop. And then it happened. The it being Madu Williams finally doing something right. Because look, he made this play, and I'm not going to take anything away from him, but A, this was a terrible pass by Christian Ponder. B, it was a great play by Madu Williams to catch it, get up, and then make a play afterwards. But I still don't want him as my starting safety. Okay? I'll take him on my team as a backup, play special teams, be a rotational guy that comes in every now and again, in a role that says, I'm a backup, I'm a rotational guy, I'm here in case you need me. Break in case of emergency. But I don't want him as my starter. Okay? Said it. That's done. He makes the play, goes down, makes a wonderful catch, gets up, has the presence of mind to make a return. And I was like, no way he's getting in the end zone. It's Madu Williams. He doesn't get in the end zone. Sure enough, though, couple cutbacks across the grain. Get a couple of blocks from your defenders, from your buddies, and boom. He gets down that sideline, and hey, he gets in the end zone, makes the stretch, makes the dive. Good play by Madu Williams, man. That's a big boy play. I mean, every part of that play, every element of that play says, I'm here to stay. I want to be the starting safety of the Washington Redskins. I'm trying to make big plays. And while I hear you, that still doesn't change the fact that I don't want you starting as my starting safety. But great play, big moment in the ball game because we just had punted. Minnesota had scored a field goal on their previous possession, so now they might be feeling like, hey, we got a little bit of momentum now. Maybe we can go down. They scored 24 unanswered. Why can't we go get, 12 or 15 or 17 unanswered of our own? So, big play in the game because any momentum that they had came to a cease at that moment. It was done. They had no momentum. It was gone. Back on our side, Uncle Mo was back partying with the Redskins. And now we've got the biggest lead of the game at 19 at 31-12. At this point now, you're like, let's finish these guys. I'm Mortal Kombat now. I'm at this point. Finish him. Finish these guys. Put them away. Do you know who you're talking to? We are the Redskins. We put no one away. No one. That's not what we do. So I was naive to think that maybe, just maybe, I never, for 1 second, thought this game was over. Because as a Redskins fan, you've been conditioned to think that way. Hell, we could be up 12. The other team has the ball with less than a minute left, and I'm still at the edge of my seat because I'm a Redskins fan. I've been trained and conditioned to think that we're never out of the woods. So we have the ball, we're taking knees, or all the numbers on the clock say 0. I've been conditioned as a Redskin fan to always think the worst. Assume the worst, hope for the best. So at this point, we're up 19, but I don't feel comfortable. I'm like, okay, something stupid is about to happen. Percy Harvin is going to take 102 yards back, cut into the lead, kill whatever momentum we thought we had, and any thoughts of this being a blowout is going to be brought to a halt with a Percy Harvin 102-yard kickoff return. Or Adrian Peterson is going to take a screen or a dump off, cut back, make two people miss, and run down the sideline for an 82-yard touchdown. Something crazy is about to happen. They're about to get a big play, though. That's what my thinking was. Something catastrophic is about to occur because we're up by too many points. It's time for the defense to give something up. So what do you know? Of course, chunk plays time. Chunk plays, chunk plays, chunk plays. They get chunks. And the thing about chunks are they're quick. They don't eat up a lot of time. You get down the field in a hurry. And if you punch it in, you've scored without taking a lot of time off the clock. And remember, keep in mind, we're up 19, but it's still 12 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. It's plenty of time. We're not, by any stretch of the imagination, out of the woods. So we can't afford to give up chunks. We're not in prevent defense. This isn't less than 2 minutes in the game. We're up 19, and you can trade yards for time. We're not at that point in the game yet. Still play defense. Still make them work for everything they get. But instead, we decided to give up chunks. So they were getting chunk plays, got down the field in a hurry, and just like that, boom, they're in the end zone, 9-yard touchdown pass to Michael Jenkins, go for 2, and we're terrible at 2-point conversion defense. I believe either teams are 4 of 4 against us or 4 of 5 against us on the season 2-point conversion. So again, I hate when teams go for 2 against us because we're not a good team defending against 2-point conversions. And of course, they get it on cue, and boom, just like that, our 19-point lead has been shaved to 11. Now it's a two-score game. You stop them on that 2-point conversion, and still they need 2 touchdowns. Now, by allowing them to convert that, now all they need is another touchdown, another 2-point conversion, and a field goal, and they're tied. So it's a 2-score game. So now you're feeling a little uneasy, but again, the way our offense has been playing, you have to stop me. And I don't think you can do that. So we get the football back, run a couple of plays, get it to 3rd and short, and that's all you can ask for. If you're going to be on 3rd down, make it 3rd and short. So we're in 3rd and short, 3rd and 1, and I'm like, no way they stop us. I feel like our offense is unstoppable in 3rd and short, except for when we stop ourselves. And I thought it was a bad play call. First of all, I don't like running plays to the short side of the field. I already said that. Makes no sense to me. It's not a lot of space. It's very congested. And when you do that, you limit your options. Run the play to the wide side of the field. Why don't you? Second of all, it's 3rd and 1. We've been having success up the middle. Why are you running a pitch to the outside on the short side of the field? There's not a lot of real estate to get outside. That's number 1. Number 2, you're stretching the play out where you only need 1 yard. So you're going east and west instead of north and south when you only need 1 yard. And number 3, we need 1 yard. Go forward. Love the option to run with Alfred Morris. Don't have a problem with that. But why are you going wide? Go up the middle. So, of course, they stop us for a loss on the play. We have to punt. Bad play calling. Bad play calling, worse execution. So I didn't like that at all, and I felt like now we're starting to fall into that trap of allowing the Vikings back in the football game. We get a couple first downs, eat up some clock, even if we don't score. If we do damage to the clock, I feel okay with the drive. But to go 3 and out with a bad play call like that left a bad taste in my mouth. Now I'm like, okay, now this game is about to become real. It's about to become really real at this point. Because now they're getting the football back. We didn't eat up any time off the clock. They didn't eat up any time off the clock on their scoring possession for the most part. And so now they're getting the ball back down 11. Plenty of time left in the football game. First of all, we got a punt to Percy Harvin, Josh Sherrills, or Marcus Sherrills. He has a 77-yard punt return against the Detroit Lions. So he's proven that he can take it to the house. So first we have to get through that obstacle. Then we have to stop them. And to this point, we've held them down, haven't given up too many big plays. They've had some chunk plays, but nothing, out of the ordinary. Nothing 55-yard touchdown pass, 55-yard touchdown run, nothing like that. So you feeling like we might be due for one of those. We haven't given up, just something egregious on the defensive end yet. Is it coming? The tide is starting to turn. You can feel Uncle Mo's left. He's now on the sideline of the Minnesota Vikings waving at us. I was on your side a minute ago. Now I'm with the Vikings. So now it's our job to try to get the momentum back. And on one play, I thought we might have just done that. Niles Paul goes down on the punt. Sav Rocca has beautiful hang time on this punt. And Sherrills is back there waiting on it. Instead of him calling a fair catch, he figures I'll probably be able to make this first guy miss. He didn't know that first guy was Niles Paul, and Niles doesn't miss. And Niles gives him one of those rim-rocking shots. Knocked his helmet off. Got everybody juiced up. Got everybody oohing and ahhing. And I thought, okay, boom. That's the play we need right there to turn the tide, to get us back, revved up. Get the defensive players, all excited. Get everybody in the stadium, talking and making noise. And now everybody's re-energized. Because after the Vikings scored, we go 3 and out. This crowd's starting to get a little quiet. It's starting to become a little quiet in FedEx Field. Because we're all Redskins fans here, so we all go, here we go again. That hit kind of woke everybody up like, no, this is different. We're not giving this one up. So, of course, that was short-lived. Defense gets on the field, and the Vikings proceed to march right down the field. And I'm talking, this is a nice methodical drive. We're going straight down the field, get to the 1-yard line, and we set out on first down. First and goal from the 1. On a bogus pass interference call. I did not like that call whatsoever on Josh Wilson. Thought he was in great position. Thought he looked back for the football in time to try to make a play on it. I thought, if anything, it could have been offensive pass interference. The dude was grabbing him by his neck, by the back of his jersey, trying to initiate contact. Just thought it was a terrible call. But nonetheless, you got to play through that stuff. The referees are going to make bad calls on both sides. We got away with a couple things on that. After they scored this touchdown, we sold out. Absolutely sold out on the run with Adrian Peterson. And they got us. We sold out, and no one covered Kyle Rudolph on the play action fake. He's wide open. Just like that, our 19-point lead, all that momentum, gone. Evaporated, turned to dust. Now we're clinging to a 5-point lead. They're going for 2, pending a 2-point conversion. They could cut this thing to 3, and it could be a 1-score game. So now, again, we're terrible at defending 2-point conversions. Haven't done a good job of it all year long, and so have no confidence in the fact that we're going to stop this. And in fact, I had already given them the 2-point conversion and said, all right, this thing is at 3. Now we have to do something on the offensive end, or this thing is going to be tied, or possibly we could be losing the football game. So I guess the football gods kind of evened it up. That was a bad pass interference call. They let us get away with one. Perry Riley was all over Kyle Rudolph on the 2-point conversion. They let that one slide. I could see how they could not call it, but if they would have called it, I couldn't have argued with it. He was all over him. But again, let him play. That's how I always feel. Let him play. If it's a good play by them, I'll be the first to tell you if that's a good play by the defense and if it's against the Redskins. Let them play. And so they let Perry Riley play. They did not complete the 2-point conversion, so we're still up 5. So at that point, you still feel good about the fact that they need a touchdown to win. Field goal won't cut it. It won't tie it up. They got to get 7. So worst case scenario, we do nothing. They get the football back. They got to get in the end zone. And that's not saying much because we just gave up 2 consecutive touchdowns in the blink of an eye, but still, they got to get 7. It's tough to get 7 in this league, and so felt good about that. But again, I'm begging the offense at this point. Get something. Even if you get a field goal, hell, I don't even want to give them the ball back. If we can run the rest of this clock out, do it. Do it. So we get the football back, and I'm like, the one thing you can't afford to do here is go 3 and out. Please don't go 3 and out. So we go, get the football, and the first play Jared Allen finally decides to show up. I'm like, at a critical time like this, we can't afford a sack. Jared Allen decides to bull rush. And look, and I'm going to take this time to just tell you, Trent Williams is elite. I don't know. I've been singing praises for Trent Williams for the last 2 seasons, trying to tell anybody that'll listen that he's elite. He's an elite left tackle. You say what you want about Trent Williams, about his off-the-field habits and whatnot. When he plays, he's a premier left tackle in this league. You say what you want about Trent Williams. I'll argue with you all day up and down about Trent Williams. And he didn't give that sack up to Jared Allen. He was blocking down on that play. That sack was given up by Alfred Morris. He took Alfred Morris, ran him into the quarterback, sacked Robert Griffin III. And that was a tight end. I don't know if it was Fred Davis, Niles Paul, Logan Paulson, but he took our tight end and picked him up and placed him at the quarterback, sacked Robert Griffin III. It happens. It happens. That's what happens when you put a tight end on a premier pass rusher. That's what's going to happen. That was supposed to be a get the ball out of your hands quick type of play. That was supposed to be, 3-step drop, back foot, hit the ground, get the ball out of there. It didn't happen. He got sacked. Only loss of 4, though. That was the beauty of that. That wasn't a 7-yard loss. It wasn't a 9-yard loss. So, and it was on first down. Wasn't on second down, which would have made that critical. So we were able to go run the ball with Alfred Morris, pick up about 7 or 8 yards, make it 3rd and manageable. So now we're in 3rd and 6. Got to have this conversion. Got to. And arguably, the biggest play of the game, not arguably, the biggest play of the game happened. Robert Griffin III drops back in what many thought was a design run. I knew that wasn't a design run. He was looking to pass. It wasn't there. Pocket was looking like it wanted to collapse. He got out of there. And I thought for 1 second, I said, please don't let somebody shoestring this guy. Because, it's always one guy reaching out with his arm, and if he gets enough of that ankle, you're going down. And so somebody stuck that arm out there, but Robert was able to keep his balance, get through there without any problems. And once he broke through that first wave of defenders, I was like, okay, that's first down. Now I'm like, okay, get what you can get out of bounds. I really want him to stay in bounds, but get out of bounds. There's no need to even have to slide, take a shot. We're not close to 4 minutes yet. It's not under 2 minutes. The clock's not going to stop once they mark the ball for play. Clock's going to run. Just get out of bounds. So all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, we up the sideline. Then I see Josh Morgan blocking. I'm like, hey, take it. Go. Go. Go, young fella, go. Next thing I know, he's in the secondary. And at this point, I know no one's catching him. No way. And so that was it. Once he scored that touchdown, again, with the Redskins, the game isn't over until all zeros are on the clock. So I feel good about it. I feel like we're really about to get off the schneid here. We're about to snap this 8-game home losing streak. But I'm also at the same time saying, all right, defense, first of all, okay, special teams, don't give it up. Not the time for it. A timely directional kick by Kai Forbath gets us a touchback. Perfect time for it. We needed it. Didn't want Percy Harvin touching that football. And what you do there is force the Vikings to go 80 yards. So now they got to go the length of the field, which is what you want. You don't want Percy to even get a 40-yard return and cut it in half. No. Go 80. If you want 7, go 80 to go get it. So now I'm like, okay, time is our friend now. Keep them in bounds. They got all 3 of their timeouts, so let's make them start using these timeouts. Because even if they score, make them use their timeouts to score. Make them use up as much clock as possible. So if they kick an onside kick and we recover, we take knees and we get out of here with a win. So this drive starts and we're not making them use their timeouts. They're getting out of bounds on everything. When I say everything, if they ran a football, they ran out of bounds. If they threw a pass, they got out of bounds. If it was an out, they got out of bounds. If it was a slant, they found a way to spin back towards the sideline and get out of bounds. I was like, are you kidding me? Raheem Morris got on the cornerback, Jones, for allowing them to get out of bounds on one play. And I'm yelling at him too. I'm like, come on, man. You know they're going out of bounds. He had help to the inside, so his first thing should have been take the sideline away. Instead, he goes inside, allows the receiver to go outside and get out of bounds. And I'm like, where's your head? You're not thinking. And so they were getting out of bounds. It was frustrating me because time isn't running. They're not using their timeouts, and they weren't getting chunks, but they're still moving the football. I don't care if it's 4 yards here, 7 yards. That stuff adds up, and the clock's not moving. They're not using timeouts. That stuff adds up. Make them use time or timeouts, one or the other. Don't give them the best of both worlds, getting yards and stopping the clock. So finally, we start making them use the middle of the field. They start having to use timeouts, and then they start, getting to the point now where they're getting on fourth downs and they're having to convert on fourth down. They keep picking up first downs. They keep getting down the field. I said, you're going to make us go to an onside kick, aren't you? And most of us, being Redskins fans, live somewhere close in the D.C., Virginia, Maryland area. So you watched that Ravens game against the Cowboys. You saw what can happen if you allow a team back in the game, give them a chance, and then it comes down to an onside kick. You too can be a victim of a botched onside recovery and find yourself biting your fingernails as someone's kicking a field goal to send it to overtime or win the other team the ball game. I didn't want it to come down to that. So I was like, come on, man. Don't allow them to get in the end zone here. And even if you do, don't let them get the 2-point conversion. But forget all of that. Why can't we make this easy on ourselves? Why can't you, as players, allow us as Redskins fans to not have to be at the edge of our seat for a victory? Why can't you just let us just bask in the glow of a victory that we know we have under wraps? Why can't you just do that once for us? Every single win we've gotten this season has come down to the wire. Not one victory that we have can we say, yeah, we had that one all the way. No, we've had to go down the wire for everything that we've gotten to this point this season. Every single football game, even the ones we've lost for the most part, have come down to the end. So I just wanted once to just be able to say, all right, we got this one. We got it. Good job, fellas. We got it. So they get in the red zone, and I'm like, okay, guys, stiffen up. Either you force them to use the rest of their timeouts, use up the clock, or both. I said, you know what would be nice here? A turnover. A turnover would be really nice here. Just end the game. So, because even if you're the Vikings and you get to fourth down, you can still kick a field goal and extend the game. And you just don't know what their thinking was there. And so, just get a turnover, man. So, Lorenzo Alexander, who has been wreaking havoc, I just was so pleased with his performance in this game. Can't state it enough. He single-handedly came in this football game and got pressure, helped us get immense pressure on Christian Ponder. Without Lorenzo Alexander's presence, without the one-man game, we don't get pressure. It would be the same thing, Rob Jackson, Chris Wilson, and that same group just not getting it done. Lorenzo came in and really held it down. He really created pressure and caused havoc for that Vikings offensive line. And I mean, he was running stunts. He was beating them outside with a speed rush, bull rush. It didn't matter. He was getting to the quarterback, and it was very, very important that we got pressure on the Vikings. And Lorenzo Alexander was one of the main reasons we were able to do that. And then we finally, at this point, Jim Haslett just got tired of allowing the Vikings to move the football, and he just started blitzing. He just started blitzing on almost every play. And he said if they're going to get us, they're going to get us blitzing. And so we got pressure on Christian Ponder, bottled him up. He tried to make something happen, airmailed it. D'Angelo Hall, Johnny on the spot, picks it off. And finally, we can let out a sigh of relief. We have ended the 8-game home losing streak on the legs of Robert Griffin III. Timely plays by this defense. Jim Haslett said he wanted 3 turnovers. It was going to take 3 to get the game won. And that's exactly what we ended up with that final interception by D'Angelo Hall to seal it. Redskins get the victory, 38-26, ending that 8-game home losing streak and just getting back to 500. We got a tough stretch coming up. And so just getting back to 500 at this point in the season means a lot. It does a lot for your psyche. We got a divisional game, our first of the season coming up. And it's against the divisional leaders, the Super Bowl champs from a year ago, 4-2 Giants. We have to go take on them at Giants Stadium. And look, well, MetLife Stadium, whatever it's called. I don't know what it's called anymore. Whatever the case may be, we're one game behind them. We beat them, and we're in first place. That feels good to know that this game has importance. So we need to go out and try to execute. But it just felt good to get a win. And to score 38 points while doing it. Isn't it fun to score over 30 points? Isn't it good to know your offense on any given game can press 40? Can be right around that 38, 40 range? No problems? We've done that how many times this year? 2, 3? I don't know. I lost count because we've been in the 30s several times this year. At least 3 off the top of my head. We put 40 on New Orleans. I want to believe we got to 30 against the Bengals. I'm not sure. We might have stopped at 24. I think we made it to 31. Again, not sure. And then we got to 38 against the Minnesota Vikings. We can score points. And even when we haven't, we've gotten into the 20s. So it's the only game we didn't score over 20 points was against the Falcons a week ago. And that's when we tried to be, I call it conservative on offense. It wasn't what we seen in the first 4 games leading up to that Falcons game. So it's no other way to classify it but conservative. I think we were trying to outsmart the Falcons, and we ended up outsmarting ourselves, honestly. But again, that doesn't matter. That was 2 weeks ago. We just got a W this week. Feels good. And feels good to be back in the winner's circle at home. You know, didn't realize it was that long since we could say we got a W at FedEx. Feels good. That was a good team that we played and beat. They were 4-1 on the season and were able to end their winning streak. They had a 3-game winning streak that we snapped. And they got wins under their belts, you know, against the 49ers and teams like that. So that's a good football team that we played. They're not going to make the playoffs, I don't think, because that's a tough division that they play in. But again, they're playing good football right now. They were 4-1. We were 2-3. And we got it done. So I feel good about that. Got a tough one coming up this week against the Giants. We'll talk about that one a lot, you know, later on in the week. You know, enjoy this win. Enjoy it. Bask in it. Roll around in it. Indulge this win. Sniff it up. Not often we win at home. Not often we win at home. So, enjoy it. Relish in it. We'll talk about the Giants game later on in the week when I do the preview for the Giants on the Redskins Report. So I thank you for joining me on this victorious, you know, Monday into Tuesday as we continue to kind of put a bow on this week. You know, once we hit Wednesday, it's full throttle on to the next one. So enjoy it for one more day and then move on. And so we off the schneid. 8-game home losing streak snapped. Good performance by the Redskins. Stellar performance by the offense. Again, defense. A lot of room for improvement. But again, when you're getting turnovers, turning those turnovers into points, you won't get many arguments out of myself. You won't hear too many complaints out of me. You can give up all the yards you want. If you're forcing turnovers, you're getting 3 in a game, 1 for a touchdown, lips are sealed. You won't hear any complaints out of me because that means you're getting it done. You may give up yards, but this offense can score. You get turnovers and you get a ball back to the offense, we can score points now. It's not like in the past where if you got turnovers, that was a field goal. No, we scoring touchdowns now. We can score points with the best of them. So if you're getting turnovers, that means you're giving opportunities to the offense to score points. That's all I can ask for. So Kudos to the defense. Good job, Lorenzo Alexander. I see you, Keenan Robinson, and your limited duty in the red zone. Great job. Guys stepped up, made plays, and so we moved to 3-3 on the season. The Vikings dropped to 4-2 on the season. That's a big win again because it's a win inside the NFC. If you're trying to make the playoffs, as we are, and look, let's be realistic with ourselves. Chances are we probably won't win the division. Now, look, that's not saying that we don't have a shot. Look, we one game out of the division lead right now. But you need to make the playoffs by, all means, at any cost. And so you got to be thinking wild card scenarios, division scenarios, whatever the case. And right now I'm thinking worst case scenario, you get in by the wild card. And if you're getting in with the wild cards, you need to win tiebreakers. The way to win tiebreakers, win games inside your conference. So the Minnesota Vikings play in the NFC conference. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers play in the NFC conference. If we're going to win games, we need to make sure we win them against teams that play in the NFC. The New Orleans Saints play in the NFC. Now, we've dropped a game to the Bengals. That's a loss. It counts on your win-loss record, so it stings. It hurts. But it doesn't hurt as much as the loss to, say, the St. Louis Rams, who is an NFC team. The Bengals are an AFC team. So you lose to them, it counts as a loss on your record, but it doesn't count against you in the scheme of NFC opponents. Now, if we're talking like opponents, yeah, everybody in the division has to play the Bengals. So you want to beat them. But look, win your games in the NFC. Can't afford to drop those. That's why that game against the Falcons last week really hurt. That's a team that we had on the ropes. If Robert Griffin III doesn't get hurt, I feel like we win that football game. You move on. Big win for the Skins. We're now 3-3, evened up our record, have a chance to get over 500 next week against the Giants. Big one coming up. We'll talk about that one later on in the week. Again, I'm your host, Lou. This was the Redskins Report. I thank you for joining me. And I am a Redskin fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskin spirit will never die. My Redskin spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, I say, hail to the Redskins. Way to go out and get that W. Till next time, I'm out. Have a good one.
The Redskins Report.